Bailey there? Yeah, Bailey's watching from the sideline. Well, we're live.
What's the date today?
Dude, this is what we always do. We like to always let our viewers know when we're actually doing this.
Okay,
So one time we
perfect.
had like a 2-week break, and I don't know if they caught that or not, but today is Monday, March 18th,
Okay.
2024. We're on episode 22.
22.
Actually, no.
23.
This is the Jordan episode.
This is the
Maybe
Jordan.
we're the next.
Jordan.
We're with the next Michael Jordan of soccer. Who knows, man?
Could be. It could be. I
My
hope
friend, Saeed Goody,
So. How are you?
Saintsman out here. The
Yes.
Saintsman connection always is beautiful.
Always.
How we doing
It's a
this
great
Monday?
bond. Everything is fine. Thank you for having me. Thank you
No, man.
really for having me.
I appreciate you
And
coming.
I'm really excited to be here and talk to you guys.
I'm really excited too. He's actually our first football player, non-coach, that we're going to be interviewing.
That's
And
right.
he's going through the player pathway at the moment, so we're
Yes.
really going to break down what it is and what it takes to get to that next level. I'm here with my co-host and my good friend, Zachary Jens.
Hello. How we doing today?
I think they're doing good.
Not better than me. I got my coffee. This is cup number 2.
You
I'll
got
tell
some
right
fruit.
Now. I got some fruit.
You got
and
some chile.
My lift's already done for the day, man.
Some
Things
apple
are good.
with chile.
That's right. Things are good.
Yeah.
Can't complain, man. And 23 episodes is mind blowing to me because what that means we've been at it for 5 months.
That's what he asked. He asked me like
about.
how long have we been
Yeah,
going.
when did you guys start? Yeah.
So if we're at 23 episodes and we do one roughly per week, we missed a few weeks there. It's about 5 months in,
Okay, perfect.
which
Nice.
is decent. I mean, I would
Consistent,
say
man.
more than half of them have been us two,
Okay.
and we've been slowly molding what this is to become.
Mhm.
Now with this episode, it has a lot more clarity. We know what we're after. We know who we're after. And we're trying to get more and more guests to come on as it expands itself into something I think that'll help all players and coaches as they go through their, how you say, life and process
Yeah.
of being a
A
footballer.
pathway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we're gonna start with the simplest question that we asked all of our guests, like, what got you into this beautiful game, man? Give us your biography of Saeed. I know
Okay.
you're younger than us, but I
Yeah.
mean you still probably experienced so much football, so
I have
break
a
it down,
lot to
man.
experience, but it has been a really good experience from where I am right now. So I started when I actually started playing soccer when I was 2 years old.
Wow.
That's when I started playing in Tijuana. I started playing in Tijuana in a little club. Like, it wasn't an official club, it was just a normal club. That's where I started.
As soon
And-
as you could walk.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The first time I hit, my mom told me the first time I kicked the soccer ball, a football.
There we go.
Yeah. First time I kicked the football.
The first time I kicked a football was when I was 8 months.
Wow.
8 months. I couldn't even walk, but my mom told me I always had a ball at my feet since I was a little kid. Yeah, always. And after being in that little team when I was 2 years old, I went to a club, Albion. I played in Albion. I played in Nomads for about 2 years, and then went back to Albion. So I played in Albion most of my time, and it was a really good team. It was a really good team. I think I developed myself there in Albion. Like, that's how I started out as a player. And after Albion, I moved to Rebels. And yeah,
That's
my-
awesome.
That's my
Yeah. And so like,
Okay,
how about
okay.
do you think Albion gave you those like the technical base that you have like today, or where do you think that you got that just from, being a lot on the ball, or did they refine your skills in that sense?
I think where I refined more of my skills was before I went to Spain, which was in a Rebels team.
Okay.
I was in the Rebels team for 4 years, and in those 4 years, I think that's when I made that big jump as a soccer player, as a football player. I keep messing up.
It's
with-
fine, no
Sorry,
worries.
man. But that at that time was when I came to my sense that I was a really good football player in Rebels, and I think that's where I grew more as a player. and also as a person, not as a player, but also as a person.
Oh, wow.
That coach in Rebels was really one of the best coaches I have ever had in my life, and he really helped me to transcend and understand more how to play my position and how to play soccer, because it's a lot of things that you need to, how can I say it, there's a lot of things to
Like dominate.
yeah
There's a lot of
exactly.
different
It's
areas
the
in the game.
mentality, it's the physicality, it's the skills, it's your passion for the game. So it's not just that you're good at it, but it's a lot of things that come together that make you be a good football player.
Do you remember what that coach's name was? At
Yes,
Rebels?
Luis Avalos.
Nice.
Shout
Luis
out,
Avalos.
shout out, Luis.
Shout out Luis Avalos.
There's
Thank you
always
for everything.
kind.
Yeah.
Those are kind words, man. Coaching for 10 years, when you see a player continue on with their career and they say something along those lines, for a lot of coaches, that could be said why we do what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He left a big mark in my life, a big mark. So I really give him a lot of credit for where I am right now. So yeah, thanks to him, I have been a more complete player.
And hey, I mean, you visited 3 of the 5 big clubs in the city.
3 of the
Yeah.
big 5.
Right? I would say 3
Yeah.
of the big 5 in the city. And
Who else is missing?
I'll be
I'm
on
not gonna
Nomad's.
get into this.
Oh,
I'll be on Nomad's, bro.
I'm not getting into this. This is
Well,
one of those
I
things.
tried
it's like-
out for surf.
Did
I
ya?
tried out for surf, but
I forgot, and I'm wearing this hat right now.
yeah. I tried out for surf, but since I live in Tijuana, surf trains really. It's a location that it's not close to Tijuana, so it was really hard for me to go over there every day to train.
Mhm.
So that's why I couldn't be in surf. But it was a club that I would really want to be.
That is normally, for players in this city, from what I'm hearing, the major stopping point to joining surf is the distance necessary to travel from southern San Diego
Yeah.
to go to Del Mar and
Mhm.
Ball. It's also why they expanded south, but it's none of that nonsense is necessary.
I got a follow-up question to that. How
Yeah.
important was having a big brother that could really push you? And I mean, I'm a big brother, so like I really compete with my brother and try and
Yeah.
make him a better person. How important was that in your development as a footballer?
Well, it really helped me a lot since my brother also loves this sport. I could say maybe he could be a little more passionate than me. He knows a lot more about football than me. So, like you said, we have always like fought each other to like help us each other to be better, and I think he has helped me a lot to also grow as a player, but to stay focused and not lose focus in the game, because he used to play soccer.
That was so perfect.
I remember he used to play football, but
Oh, I thought you were like saying that you didn't. I thought you were like offside because you didn't want to like say that he didn't play football anymore. You know, like
no.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
No,
Because
I
he
really
said
don't
the
care
word
about it. No.
soccer.
No, yeah.
I gotta get used to football.
You got
I
you,
gotta
got
get used to football. But he used to play football. He was a really, really good player. And since he sees that he couldn't make it to professional, and he has me, like I am in right now. I'm a place where I could really make it to the first team and be a professional soccer player. I think he's really happy for me, and he helps me a lot to, like I said, stay focused, have a good nutrition, take care of myself, to always give my 100%, because like he once told me, you never know when it's gonna be your last soccer game, when it's gonna be your last football game.
That's a great.
You never know when it's gonna be your last 3 minutes in playing soccer. Like it could end in any second. Any second could end. So he told me to appreciate every second and just enjoy the game, because it could be over in no time.
Yeah, and I, like knowing your brother, going to school with him, he's a
Yeah.
very strong
Yeah.
character as well. You know,
Really
so, like,
strong character.
So like
yeah.
I feel like that also, if he didn't experience those things and it didn't experience what he had experienced in his life, I don't think that would have had such a big impact on you,
Yes,
because
yes.
then you see yourself
Mhm.
in him,
Yeah.
but an older version.
Yeah.
And then you like having that allows you to, I guess, fuel yourself
Mhm.
a little bit more.
And I wanted to quit many times. Many times I wanted to quit. It's really a hard sport, more to be a professional. But he has helped me to stay in my game and to not just, if I'm not doing well in the sport, to just leave it. So yeah.
No, it makes sense. I think with your brother, like, I want to reiterate the importance of that message. Is like, you have no idea when their last game is ever gonna be,
Yeah.
or for what circumstance.
Exactly.
And because of that, it's so important that you continue to chase your dream of
Mhm.
becoming a footballer to whatever extent that is for the individual. For you, it's the pros, which is amazing. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, you're in a position to really obtain that.
Mhm.
Should be extra motivation for you to keep going
Yeah.
and not have to reach that day where you hang your boots on the wall.
Yeah.
So
That's
soon.
the worst day. That's the worst day.
And it can be really hard for players who are incredibly passionate for the game to have that realization in their brain and in their heart that says, maybe this is it for me. And some don't even get to make that choice. Some, it gets taken right from them, and then all of a sudden, your playing days are over.
Yeah.
So one of the things is you want to be left with zero regrets about your playing career when you hit that stage.
That's what I don't want. I don't want any regrets in my life.
And
Any
the only
regrets.
way to do that is to completely chase football with all of your heart,
Mhm.
with all of your passion, with all of your ambition. And that should lead to whatever it is you wanted to achieve in football.
Yeah.
Sometimes you aim for a target and miss, and sometimes you aim for a target and hit the bullseye. You know?
And with that being said, we were talking off camera about a crossroads that you already had earlier in your career, where you were going to school here in San Diego,
Mhm.
and you got the opportunity, the privilege to go and play in Spain.
Overseas.
Yeah, and you were talking about the crossroads of how difficult that decision was.
It's a really hard decision, because you're in school, you're playing. Well, I was a freshman playing in varsity at that time. Well, no, I was a sophomore playing in varsity at that time. I also played freshman as in varsity.
Low key flex, I like that.
Yeah. Low key, just low key.
Yeah.
But it,
For the best program in San
Yeah,
Diego too.
yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
that's even another
Suck
flex.
the ante a couple
Yeah, just a
bits.
little flex.
But it was really a hard decision, because you gotta change everything from going to how do you say it? You're playing college. Well, no, it's college, but it's
No,
not
no,
college.
high school.
You're playing high school, and to go from high school and another country to play professionally soccer, it's a big shift in your life.
It's a huge
It's
leap. You're
it's a
going from
huge
16-year-old high school soccer in America to overseas
playing
professional
yeah.
football
and in Spain,
in Spain,
Europe.
where 16-year-olds are pros.
Exactly. So it was a really hard transition, but if you put the two in a balance,
scale,
in
yeah.
a scale, obviously you're gonna go overseas instead of staying in the United States. But it was a really big transition from being in the U.S. to going to Spain, and being in school and playing just soccer every single day, from 7 a.m. all the way to in like I ate, I
Yeah,
breathed.
give us your like routine, like a normal day over there when you were in Spain. How did it look like?
So I woke up around 7 in the morning. We ate breakfast. And
As a
then
team.
I was in I don't know how you say Casa Club.
Like the
Casa Club.
yeah, sure.
Casa Club,
You were like in the club,
The
in the
home
clubhouse,
club.
the clubhouse
home,
of the.
home club. The home
Clubhouse.
club. Yes, clubhouse. I was there for 2 months, and so you wake up 7 in the morning, you eat breakfast. After you eat breakfast, you go straight to training. You train for like 2 hours. After 2 hours, you go back, you eat, and then you have to go back to training. And after training, you have gym. We also hit the gym over there. And
I'm surprised the Spaniards know.
yeah,
what the gym is.
yeah, that's why they're really strong. yeah, yeah. After the gym, you go back to your clubhouse and just chill. So it's 2 trainings every day.
This is
It's
also
2
why
trainings.
I tell people that you can't make it to this level unless you love it. Because
you
your
gotta love
day
it,
is surrounded with it.
Like I said, you eat, you breathe,
Mhm.
everything is football.
Yep.
Everything, right?
Day in,
from
day
the
out,
day from the
through the whole week
yeah,
too.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. There's no breaks, honestly. There's no breaks. It's only soccer from Monday to Sunday, every single day.
Wow.
And if you love it, it's great. It's
Yeah.
it's like everything you want. You're
You know,
waking up, you're
well,
straight to it.
I really don't
It's like-
didn't see it as a job. Like
No?
you don't see it as a job anymore. You see it like it's another day. It's something I love to do.
And especially in Spain.
doing it with
my
we were
boys
talking about it.
and
In
yeah,
Spain,
we were talking about it right now.
you got some jamoncito.
Yeah, jamon
you sit
tapas.
relax. Yeah, oh,
Oh,
man.
How do
Oh,
you say? Bonita playas?
Oh yeah, sure, playas.
Playas bonitas?
Playas muy bonitas.
Yeah, yeah.
Muy bonitas.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. I know you really meant beaches, right?
I did.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
I know where this is going.
That's the multilingual one.
Yeah,
the
baby.
First multilingual. I'm
There we go. No, I guess like we're I told him off camera too. We want to get. I don't know how this is gonna work, but maybe a Spanish podcast soon.
I'm working on it. I swear on my life. I'm
Hey,
working on
we
it.
That
got
would be
we got
really
we
good.
got
That would be
people
really
we got
good.
people ready for it.
Yeah.
But so going back to like you going to Spain, there's a lot of players that want to experience that like excellent little privilege of going and play in another country.
Mhm.
What were the steps that you took, or how did you get yourself there? What needed to happen, or like what was the process for you to get there?
Well, at that time I was playing in Rebels,
Okay.
so I wasn't like in a really big club, like known club, professional club or anything. And I have had a lot of how do you say scouts.
Yeah.
There were scouts in certain tournaments that I played there with Rebels, and there was this scout, and I don't remember really what tournament it was, but in a tournament, one of my friends that also played with me there in Rebels came up to me and told me, hey, this scout just told me that he wanted us to go to Spain and play over there, and he wanted us, it was 3 of us that played in Rebels that went over there to play in Spain.
Oh wow.
And so just a scout told us that he really liked how we played, and after 4 to 5 months we stayed in contact with that scout, and he took us overseas to Spain, and I was in Levante. I got to Levante, but I think what mostly helped me get to that stage of my life and at that point was honestly it's the love for the game, it's the mentality, and
Ambition, even.
it's ambition.
You had ambition.
It's ambition.
You had to. If you're 16 and you're about to go overseas to play ball.
It's
You had
really
to have
it's not easy to leave your family, leave your house, everything at a very young age to do something you love. It's hard for your family and for you, but when you see the benefits that it gives you, man, like
I think there's an aspect to that people don't really touch on so much, is that at 16, your identity is still very much so being molded. And the decision to go overseas and play ball at that caliber is a identity solidifier.
yeah.
And at 16, no one's identity is solidified. So it's really hard to be so young and say, I know who I am, I know what I'm about, this is what I'm about, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to give my full self to it. And now your whole life surrounds around it.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge just to find a 16-year-old who has the strong enough ambition and identity to go and change their entire life and go
Their whole
overseas.
life, yeah.
But this is what it takes, right? Because when people say the struggle of doing that is the loss of the family, the change of environment, the change in languages,
Mhm.
those are all natural challenges to making that decision.
But if you really want it, you're up to it.
There's your identity,
Yeah.
there's your ambition,
Yeah.
and they help you keep going through that
Mhm.
process,
Yeah.
right? But like getting scouted and getting seen while you're playing, and then following, let's just say getting scouted and playing and getting seen while you're playing is rare. But one of the things that you did there that's really important is you said you stayed in communication with them for 5 months
5 months
before you went.
That's a long
Before,
time.
yeah.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
back and forth, a lot of text, a lot of emails.
It's a lot of how do you say you gotta
You say it in Spanish.
o sea, pues, te tienes que quedar tranquilo. O sea,
Oh, you have to like stay calm and don't let the
Like if
the hype of the moment
exactly
get to you.
exactly.
Elaborate on that more, because that's interesting. Like what
You kept communicating with him, but you wouldn't let it swell your head. Is that it? And then you kept communicating
Yeah,
with him until it
I-
turned into an opportunity?
Well, yeah, I just kept on going. Like I didn't that affect me in my soccer. Like, oh my God, maybe I could go to Spain, maybe I could play over there, and so no me agrandé.
Yeah, it didn't make your head big. Like you stayed focused on
Exactly.
on the next thing that was in front of you.
Exactly.
Because
I think I prepared even more. I was even
okay.
more.
I think
More
what you
focused.
did very special there was simply the communication aspect, was maintaining a line of communication with the
With
player,
the- with the manager.
with the scout
Yeah.
and the manager.
Yeah.
Was one of the strongest things you did during that time.
I think it was the best decision I could make.
I've been
'Cause
working with
after
players
5
on
months, or well, even 3 months. If you don't see or hear from him, you just give up.
It's done.
You're just gonna give
so
up.
as that was happening, like they were waiting.
Well,
or-
it's because we were waiting on him to get to us,
Okay.
but he was over there in Spain,
Yeah.
so he had other things that he had
Tapas,
to
playa,
do. Yeah,
all of
yeah.
that.
All of that.
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
that. For 3 months, there's a lot of things to do in Spain.
Yeah.
in 3 months. But once he reached out to me after 5 months, I have never ever in my life thought that I could make it or even play in Spain. Never in my life I thought I had the potential to make it and play in Europe, because playing in Europe, not everyone gets that chance.
No.
Not everyone
Really
gets
rare.
a chance to go overseas, play over there, play in Levante.
They were the first division
Yeah,
at that
their
time,
first
right?
division.
Yeah,
Their
there's
first
no
division.
way.
They play
That's
against
crazy.
Barcelona, Real Madrid,
Yeah.
all those teams. So, obviously, it was a really big impact for me to play at that level. But you have to keep believing. You have to keep believing. If you stop believing in yourself for at least 1 second, it's 1 second that you lose. It's 1 second that you lose. So you gotta.
Is that the advice that you'd give your 10-year-old self? Right now, you being 20, and if you were going to talk to your 10-year-old
If I were to
self,
talk to my 10-year-old
10-year-old self,
10-year-old self right now, I would tell him to not give up. Not give up. It's all about consistency. It's all about keep doing it over and over and over again. Even if you fail, you gotta keep on trying. You gotta keep on trying. Even if you don't see, even if you don't see an open door, or yeah, even if you don't see an open door, you gotta open it yourself. No one is gonna open it for you. You're the only one that's gonna get yourself playing at that top level. No one else.
And then I want to go back to the communication factor, because how do you open doors? You extend a line of communication.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of players I know that hit that gap year. A gap year is you're 18 and going on 19. You haven't found a college or a pro team to play for, or USL team, whatever, and you're still practicing, looking for that place. And in that gap year, one of the things I tell players is like, you need to be communicating with all kinds of programs and all kinds of places, trying to dwell up an opportunity and make sure that you're constant with your communication.
and it's
with those
almost
places.
as if you gotta like set goals like every day.
You're not
I'm
gonna
going
sell
every day.
yourself.
I'm going to send 5 emails or send out 5 clips of myself, but it's like it's like
Yeah.
and I guess that part of football is kind of like a job because, like you said, you're selling yourself, and if no one sees what you're doing, or there's no one out there looking at you, it's hard.
And
right?
it stems
It is,
from your
it is.
self-belief, right? You're not
Yeah.
going to go and cut clips yourself and dig up emails and look at programs and look at these things if you don't have self-belief in yourself to go and accomplish this task. So of course there's like this emphasis on your mentality and all these things, but my emphasis here on what you did and the importance of players trying to find that is being overly communicative with programs and reaching out to people and
Yeah.
selling themselves to other places, because I would say that people are their own worst enemy in the sense that if they shop for overseas opportunities, they might just be able to grab them, but they don't really shoot.
It's because a lot of people see that as something that maybe they think they're not able to achieve, but
And the self-doubt.
But here you are telling
exactly,
them
self-doubt.
you can, but you can.
You can do anything. You can do anything. Just you gotta put your love, your mindset, and everything you got in that one thing that you want. And since I told you earlier, I have been playing since I'm 2 years old. This is something that it's really, really passionate for me, and it's something that it's a dream that I have had since I was little, to be a professional soccer player. It's something that I want, and if you don't have the right communication, like you said, and you're not looking over here, over here, over here for options, and you just stay in one place, you're not going to get anywhere. You can't stay in a club, like you can't stay in Albion, or you can't stay in Rebels or Nomads, because if you stay in a club like that, you're not going to transcend. You got to go to a team where you're going to grow more as a player. I'm not saying you're not going to grow as a player in a club. You're going to grow, but it's going to get to a point where you're not going to grow anymore.
The ceiling, you reach the top.
Exactly.
Now I think it's a great point in which we bring in what we were talking about prior to the podcast, which is you said something very intriguing, which was the best thing you could have done was to leave the club system in America.
Exactly. The best thing I could have done was leave the club and find something that will make me grow more, because I grew a lot in those 4 years in Rebels. I grew a lot. I learned a lot, but
Did you reach your ceiling there?
I got to a point where I knew I wasn't growing anymore. Like my potential wasn't growing. I didn't see improvements in me or in my playing. So I knew I had to make a change.
Yeah.
And if you don't make a change, you're gonna get stuck in the same place.
That's great.
You never want to be at the top of the ladder somewhere.
Exactly. And so that I was actually gonna leave Rebels after those 4 years, but this Spain thing came up, so that was something really good for me. That was the best thing that could happen in my life, because I didn't see growth in Rebels. Then I went to Spain, and I saw the
whole nother
biggest
level.
amount of growth I have ever seen.
I bet also personally too.
Personally, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Being
New
alone,
country, being alone, taking
yeah.
care of self,
Exactly.
focusing on sport, like
And I was
balancing
living.
your life.
I
at
was
16.
living alone at a hotel
Yeah.
in Spain. 3 months alone at my
Listen,
15 years old.
I know it. At the Varsity Academy, I took care of those players who lived 15 to 18
Mhm.
for 10 months of the year in the middle of the desert, away from their family and friends. And I was a bit like moral compass or like backboard
Mhm.
to these players when they had issues inside, emotional backboard as well, about living on their own and becoming, how you could say, for lack of a better term, young men or men.
You
Taking
become
care of their
independent.
laundry, taking care of their diet, taking
Yeah.
care of their studies,
Yep.
taking care of their soccer, their rehab, their lifting, without the parent or anybody around them saying, time to go, get in the car, here we go. Like, oh,
You
make
become
sure
a
you
man
get this.
also.
Yeah, you become a man through this
Become a man.
process.
Exactly.
And I was there to oversee that for that time, and I would only chime in when they were at their most necessary.
Mhm.
They really needed help. The kid didn't know how to start the washer machine. That's a real life lesson right there. You
Yeah.
gotta teach him that once, and like you teach a man to fish, he good to take care of himself the rest of his life. But that's the stuff where you said you saw the most growth at that time in your
Yeah.
life. You grow and you gain when you take a leap. You exit your comfort zone
You
and you enter
Yeah.
the uncomfortable.
The uncomfortable.
Every day is a learning lesson.
The
Every
uncomfortable,
conversation is a
yeah.
learning lesson.
The uncomfortable will become comfortable at some time.
So
and then
there
that's the
you-
time to jump.
Exactly.
I want to go back to a point that you said about not being worried about failing,
Yeah.
because one of the great Mexican coaches, and he's coaching in Spain right now in La Liga,
Mm-hmm.
Javier Aguirre.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I love about different languages is that different languages have different ways of saying things,
Certain things. Yeah.
and that's something that I teach to the boys. And he was saying, one of the reporters that was asking him questions like we are to you, he was saying, oh well, wasn't your time in a Mexican club a failure? He was one of the big clubs in Monterrey,
Yeah.
and he hadn't won any championships. And the reporter was asking, oh, so was that time was that a fail that time? He said, yes, it was a fail. I failed in that season, but as a team, how many teams are gonna fail? All of them except one.
Yeah.
Only one can
Yeah.
be
19 of the 20.
not failure,
Yeah.
and all of them, the rest of them are
It's
gonna be
failure. Yeah.
failure.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
what he was saying, and something that I love about his language, he said, "Yo fracasé," meaning I failed,
Mhm.
pero yo no soy un fracaso, meaning
Not
that
a
he's
failure.
not a failure.
Mhm.
It's okay to fail, because failing is a part of life and a part of growth. But you having the self-belief that you're not a failure makes you keep going and makes you keep going to the next level. And now he's in the Copa del Rey final with Mallorca.
Yeah.
Out of all teams, Mallorca.
Yeah.
So
Big team. Big team.
yeah, so for him, not letting one season, one moment define him as a failure, made him keep growing and keep going stronger. And now he's at,
I think.
I'd say, higher level than Liga MX.
Yeah, I would say that failure made him grow. Since he failed a lot over there in Mexico, he failed. Well, yeah, he failed a lot in Mexico, but he learned from those failures and he grew from them. If you grow and learn from those failures, you will be even better and more. How do you say?
Prepared for the next one.
Better prepared for the next failure. Yes.
100%.
Exactly. So he's a really great coach, and he's a great example for a lot of coaches that if you fail, if you keep on going, even if you fail, you can still make it.
Yeah.
You can't give up even if you fail. You can't give up. If you give up,
That's when you became a failure.
exactly.
That's when you became a
That's
failure.
what I was gonna say.
You said something important, which is you can't let your failures define you.
Mhm.
The one thing through your soccer career, whether it be player to coach, then to program, whatever your career looks like, is you will have moments of failure that will feel like a defining factor.
Mhm.
And they're all from across the board, from in game to in the office to on the field. These moments hit. And it's so important to have some sort of self-confidence in the belief of who you are, some resilience in your identity,
Mhm.
for when those moments come around, to not let it define you. Because I think a lot of people, when they hit ultimate failures, when they try to swing for the top and they miss, the next response is really demeaning.
Mhm.
It's diminishing. It's you're low and you're down. That's when failures start to define your identity in that sense. And I think it's important for young players to hear how when you hit that stage, that you need to make sure that you understand the failure is the greatest teacher, and just by
Exactly.
striving for that failure at the top or success, you are growing and learning and developing identity and strength and identity and
Yeah,
character.
you're growing more. You're
And
growing
as
more.
long as, and I tell my players all the time, failure is the greatest teacher. If we lose and we learn, we haven't lost, right? But also for an ambitious spirit and soul, it's important for them to know if you are going to climb the ladder, guess what? You're going to fail. And secondarily, you cannot let those failures define you, because if you do, that is the end of your journey.
That
right
is when
there and then.
you are a failure.
And I was
Exactly.
told
The
that
fracasado.
I was told that both as a player and a coaching professional at one point, where I lost a lot, like as a coaching professional. And one of the greatest, how you say, lessons or advice I got at the time was, on my way out, was don't let it define you. You're great in all of these things. You missed this. Learn it, and then you're great at all of these things and that.
Yeah.
and you're gonna be an even bigger beast.
You will always
You
lose.
walk out that
You will
door,
always fail.
chest out, chin up, understanding who you are and what you need to
And
improve
growing
on.
from it. Growing from
Good.
it.
It's
Growing
not
from
bad. It's good.
it. You gotta keep on moving. If you can't stay stuck in the same failure, because if you don't learn from it and you don't transcend from that failure, you're gonna keep on failing and failing and failing and failing. You're gonna stay in the same spot or even go down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and even more frustrating about that is you're failing at the same thing in the same environment, doing the
Exactly,
same process,
exactly.
and people would define that as insane because you're repeating the same process and
Exactly.
getting the same result.
Mhm.
And you just said it. Eventually, you actually start reverting.
Reverting, exactly. Yeah, you start going
Yeah,
down.
it's like-
Instead of staying at the same level, you're going down in levels.
So striving for success and failing
Exactly.
could break
It's
that
it's
habit.
alright to fail.
You're gonna
It's
grow.
fine to fail, but you have to learn from the failures. You have to learn. If you don't learn from them, you're never gonna grow.
You have to have you have to have the courage to want to try,
Yeah.
which is what when
And
as
to
a coach.
accept it, because there's a lot of people that don't accept their failures, and that's why they keep on failing.
Yeah, that's right.
You gotta accept it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta accept it.
Yeah, that's the reflection period afterward, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Reflect on it.
You
gotta
have to,
reflect on
or
it.
else you won't learn from it.
Mhm.
But I also, working with young players a lot, talk about having the courage to try to fail, because that will lead to you learning anyway.
That will lead to success.
So I'm instilling trying, because they need to have the courage to try.
Mhm.
And then once they try, they fail or succeed, the reflection part as the coach, I bring back in after the game or individually, right? Like I feed that to them. But at this stage, you are responsible for that on your own accord
Yeah.
as a player.
Yeah.
Because you're ambitious enough for your professional career to propel, that
Mhm.
you're going to have the courage to try, to fail, succeed, to push, to reflect,
Yeah.
to grow, and to keep going as much as you can. Whereas for the players that I work with, I am that guy for them, right? I'm always bringing that in to
That
certain
guy.
places.
That guy.
But you have to understand, they're under 16-year-old kids. You can't expect to know how to manage their playing career in that
Mhm.
way. But here we go, fly overseas where you were, and now all of a sudden they do. All of a sudden, the 16-year-old in Spain is expected to handle all of those things. So maybe there is a leap and a difference between the American process and the overseas,
And the overseas
European
process.
process. And I love what you said about the importance of players when they hit their cap to think about how do you jump out
How do
into
you
the
jump?
next
Yeah.
one.
Because there's a lot of players that I have seen, friends, that used to play club, and they were really, really good players. I know that they could have made it professional, but since they got to a point that where they didn't see growth at that club, they just gave up. They said, "Okay, football is not for me, so I don't see growth, so I'm just gonna quit." No, you don't see growth because maybe, how can I say it so it doesn't seem that bad for the clubs, but maybe the coach doesn't have those resources to help you grow even more as a player.
I got you.
That's
But it's
brilliant.
it's a
Right.
small pond. You're a big fish in a small pond, and then once you can't swim in that little
You gotta
area,
move to something bigger.
exactly.
Exactly.
And then
Someone with
you're
more-
gonna see bigger fish there.
You gotta move someone that has, how do you say, the more,
In Spanish, say it.
que tiene es que ni en español,
Una trayectoria de que.
o sea, que tenga más
Habilidad.
un resumen más grande.
More experience,
Yeah,
More
like
like a
a
big- yeah,
resume,
bigger-
more
bigger
experience.
place, yeah.
More experience.
more experience,
Exactly.
more player pool, better player pool,
Exactly.
more resources,
Mm-hmm.
better environment.
Exactly.
Totally.
Exactly.
Right? And then from there, that's where your small pool becomes a
Bigger pool.
And more
And-
challenge
Mhm.
to dominate that. You being in the second team of a professional, like club,
Mhm.
what would you say are the most important skills that a young player should be developing?
The mindset. I would say the mindset. The mindset is the biggest part and the biggest skill that you need to master. If you don't master the mindset, like I say,
Like you're saying about your friends, no matter the technical ability that they have,
exactly.
they'll still fail.
Uh-huh.
and not even fail, but become a failure in that. Obviously, your friends could be good at something else, right? But as a soccer player in their soccer profession, they failed.
Yeah.
So they were
Yeah.
a failure
And,
in that.
and they failed because of their mindset. They said that they didn't see growth. Like I said, they didn't see growth as players. So their mindset was telling them that they needed to stop.
And they could make a bunch of excuses about why
Exactly.
it was justified.
Exactly.
What about? But all right, we're going back to the question of you being on in the second team
Mm-hmm.
of a professional club. What would you say is the most important skill that youth players need to develop to be able to get to the level that you're at?
I would say the most important skill is the mindset. You need to have a strong, really strong mindset, because your mind will always tell you a lot of things that you can't do this, you're not good at this. But if you change that mindset and you change it positively instead of negatively.
No, I can't. I can.
Yeah, I can. Instead of saying I can't, you need to say I can. You always got to think positive. And I would say that led me to be where I am right now. To always saying to myself, I know I can make it. I know I can make it. I know I'm a good player. I know I have everything I have to be a good soccer player and to make it as a pro soccer player, pro football player. So I would stick with the mindset. I think that's the most important thing.
And then how about like you, position specific now? You're a great defender.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
and I'll go, once you answer this question, I'm going to add on to what you're saying.
Okay.
But what would you say as a defender is the top skill that you need to have to be able to not just be a good defender, but a great one?
I would say you have to be a leader. Since a defender can see the whole field, and if I would always say that in a team there's always got to be a leader, and normally the leader is the one that can see everything. So if you're a defender and you have the vision to lead your team, you can lead them to victory. If you have the voice and the leading, how do you
So
say?
one of the qualities of a leader is having a voice and being overly communicative
Exactly.
with the things that you're seeing, so your
Exactly.
team can adjust to those
Exactly.
things.
Exactly.
And that's one of the traits you're seeing as a defender. If you don't have,
If you're not a leader, your team will break up.
you're missing it.
Your team will break up. There's got to be someone leading the team, because if there's no leader, how are you gonna connect with the players? How is the team gonna come together if there's no leader? And I would say the defender is the most leading player in the field.
A lot of people like to say it's the goalkeeper, but he's so far removed from the striker.
Exactly.
And so you're going to
Exactly.
need someone right in between who's
Exactly.
able to communicate backwards
Exactly.
and then forwards, but also have the same vision a goalkeeper would have, which is a majority of the field for a majority of the game. Most defensive
I
positions
think what
give.
defines a good and a great defender is his leading. I think a defender should always lead and lead by example.
That's
I
what
would
I
say-
was gonna add on.
Go ahead.
Because from the moment that I saw you play, and you were playing as a freshman in the best program in San Diego, and
Yeah.
the one thing that you, being a 14, 15-year-old, going against 17, 18-year-olds,
Mm-hmm.
you had no fear.
No.
You would go in and you did not care about whatever happened to him, and sometimes which is harsh to yourself.
Yeah, you go in.
And
That's what happens.
and the Spanish from Navarra have this saying "rasmia," where it's playing without fear. It was like how they would say "con cojones,"
Mm-hmm.
and that was something that you embodied, and that's something that as a leader, if you're able to show that energy to your team and be like, I'm putting myself on the line, my body, my risk. So if
Everyone
I can
will
do
follow.
that,
Everyone
exactly.
will follow.
And
Yeah.
that is for me one of the things that really makes you a strong leader,
Yeah.
because you don't just tell people to do it, but you're the one that's first in
Yeah,
line.
you put the example. You put the example for your other teammates. That's what I was gonna say. If there's always got to be one player in the team that steps it up a little bit for the other players. Because, well, me as a player, if I see one of my friends, one of my teammates, running to every ball and giving it all he's got, he's gonna transmit that to me, and then I'm gonna transmit it to someone else, and that person is gonna transmit it to and then we're all connected. We're all in the same zone. We have a good chemistry, and in football, if the team is not connected and you don't have a good chemistry,
You're
it
done.
will break up.
You're done.
It will break
I
up.
like to say, if in the times of heat, if you can't look left and right and catch the eyes of your teammates full of fire,
Mhm.
then you guys will not be able
Exactly.
to handle it.
Exactly.
Because that's just one of those moments where you want to look left and right and know that that guy's gonna give 1,000%, that guy's gonna give 1,000%, and they're looking at you, and they gotta know
That
the
you're gonna
same
give.
thing, and that you gotta admit this,
Yeah.
and then it's grabbed and it's grabbed and it's grabbed, and in the heat of the moment, there are moments, battles. You pick your head up, you check each other's eyes, you give them the little thing, and you're back
You
to
go.
it, right?
You go.
And you know there's a vibe there that
Mhm.
says we're here to win. All of us are here to win.
Yeah.
And when one person doesn't meet that, you don't even have to necessarily see it. It can be felt when you're playing an 11v11 game and one of those party members on your team isn't communicative with the group, is choosing individualistic actions, is moving themselves apart from the shape, any of these things where they're not connected, and now that creates a gap, and that gap can be exploited in a domino effect all the way back towards the goal. You know, one of the questions I had about you personally, and you, as a defender, I like to ask all players this of all ages, and it came from one of my favorite mentors as a coach, Francisco. He worked with Chicago Fire. I met
Shout
him
out.
at Barca. This guy, real like kid at heart theory guy. And the question he would always have for players is, what's your favorite moment of the game? One moment that maybe repeats itself on a regular basis, but you overlook because you played football your whole life.
Mhm.
But what would be your favorite moment in a game of 90 minutes? Think of all the actions and all of the moments that transpire within a 90-minute game. What would be the thing that you say, man, every time that moment shows up, freaking love it. It empowers me. It makes my heart race. It gets me excited. What would that be? And for example,
That's a really good question.
I'll give
That's a
you
really good
mine
question.
for example,
Okay.
because it's a deep one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, my favorite moment in the game is when I position myself well as a winger, and the ball is switching the point of attack, and my team has done it well, so it's quick.
Okay.
So I'm receiving the ball in a wide space with time and space. in
And
front of me.
he's gonna have a 1v1.
And I'm about to then turn as I receive this ball and look at this fullback. And in the moment that I meet his eyes, we both know it's on.
Yeah.
Encarar.
Yeah.
I'm coming at
Yeah.
you, and you're gonna have to
It's a
stop
1v1.
me.
Yeah.
And in that moment, the excitement and love and ambition and passion fills my heart, and I go at this guy.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, as a winger, it's 50-50 against a good defender.
Yeah. Yeah,
Straight
yeah,
up
yeah.
50-50.
Yeah, it's a 50-50.
But
It's a
that
50-50.
passion and that engagement and that love makes me feel like it's 100-0. Like I'm getting past this guy every single time.
Okay.
And just to say, for example, that is my absolute moment of the game that I like every single time.
You
It's
strive
like,
for it.
fucking hell.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that when I look at a fullback and say it's on. And I go.
I think for me, well, that was a really good example. For me, I would say, since I'm a defender that loves physicality. I love physicality. It's
Dog.
something I it's before a game, I picture myself like knocking someone out. So I would say that's like the most. It fills me up with adrenaline. And right now, talking about it,
Like when you
makes
make a
me-
crunching tackle.
Yeah.
When you make
Or
a
like
crunching
when you're
Yeah.
both
tackle.
going for a ball and it's
a
the shoulder
ball
to shoulder.
in- yeah, that one.
That
It's
one.
The
the
shoulder to
ball
shoulder.
will-
Boom.
Where it's a long ball
Yeah.
and there's a lot of space behind you,
Yeah.
and you guys are both running full speed at the ball,
And you're gonna
and you can see him like running, and you're running and looking at him to, like with
Yes,
side eye.
and you're gonna meet.
And you know you're gonna meet, you're gonna clash, and the one that has the strongest body
is gonna
it's
stay,
it's gonna
and the
win.
other one's gonna go.
Yeah, and since I go to the gym, and I know that I am a like strong defender, I'm like, my guy, you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's coming.
So my
over
favorite
there.
moment,
I love
and
that.
his favorite moment
You don't
could
know
be
what's-
if I get the ball
It's
in
like-
the wing
it's
and
like
I touch
against
it
you.
forward.
Yeah,
he's
it's like
gonna
against
be-
you.
In that
Yeah.
moment, he's gonna come and crunch.
That,
me.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
fills me with adrenaline.
I love
Yeah.
that.
You can't
Yeah.
even imagine. And more right
Yeah.
now, since in Cholos I play in a stadium. I play in the Cholo Stadium with the crowd.
You could hear it getting louder as you guys
Oh
are getting
my
closer
God.
to the ball.
Oh my God! Wow, it's
Feeling
something.
your
It's something that
ambition.
I strive for every single game. I pray to God that the winger or the forward
We'll
makes
take
a
that
pass
touch. Yeah.
just for me to go and knock him
Mhm.
out. Just for me to go and knock him out.
Fucking
I love that.
Bro,
I love that. I
That's
love
amazing answer.
Yeah, I
Love
love
it.
It just sorry. Make sure that you're not covering the mic. That's all. But no, that you got that answer, and I have one of my players that he's exactly like you. Like they're going for a 50-50, and this guy, he does it at least once a game. He just goes wham, and the guy goes flying
Yeah,
5 yards.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
super satisfying.
I
It's
I can
think
super
it's
imagine.
important.
I can
Talk
imagine. If you're a
about
big
this,
boy,
too.
I can imagine
It's super
that.
satisfying.
He don't even have to be a big boy. He's a strong man with a good center balance. You say
Yeah.
you work out at
Yeah.
the gym, you play a lot of football. So it's about the timing of the hit, your core and your strength in your core and your legs, and not just upper body stuff, but how do you hit?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was gonna
it's
say.
how do you hit?
It's how, I don't know how you say, like the movement of it. You gotta like crunch down a little bit and put a lot of force on your legs. I think legs and
balance.
abs is the most important force that you need to have to knock someone out.
Yeah.
It's not about the arms or upper body. It's more like
No, the arms aren't gonna do anything at that
Yeah,
point.
no,
Your
nothing.
legs are gonna take out his whole body.
They will help you in other things, but not like in that certain play. So I would say you need to have strong legs and a strong core in order to.
Like he said, it's lowest center of gravity.
Exactly.
Because you're gonna come in at him and you're
There
gonna
was a
take him out.
time in college that I stopped, as the winger, that I stopped even taking the tackle and I started riding the tackle. And what I mean by that is, as the winger, I'd take the ball forward, long touch, and have this fullback come and meet me, but he's gonna hit me as he meets me. And when he hits me, I touch the ball in the direction that he's gonna hit me, and I leave both my feet, and then I ride the tackle.
Oh,
In a
you
sense,
let him push you.
he's gonna hit me,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm gonna fly with it, but
So now you get the foul.
but I anticipated where he was going to hit me, so I don't even need to take the foul if the first touch was good and where I landed was in direction with the ball.
You just kept going.
But I had to make that change in my game in college because even though I was one of the strongest lifters on my team, my core was strong. I was 5'6", going against fullbacks that were 6'2", and they were big freaking guys coming at me like he just described.
Yeah.
Like they're about to kill you. And if I met this guy at a 50-50 shoulders, even if I was low, chances were low. But a lot of the time, like I would choose, if I was going to do that, I'd like show them that I was going to beat them, you know, and the ball's off my foot because I've already touched it forward. And instead of meeting them, like they're anticipating this hard hit, last second I go, whoop, whoop. And as I leave my feet, I just off their shoulder, shift left.
And you keep going.
Or if I don't land, I'm gonna take the foul because I just kick the ball away from the fullback, then I win, right? But their strength and their speed is their quality, and my quality was my ball control, my understanding of the space. So I had to really not physically make advantages for myself, but like, how do you say, like create something out of nothing a little bit, right? Which is what wingers do for the most part. Try to create something out of very little. But I think it's important we talk about the excitement that moment gives you as a defender and other defenders who celebrate big tackles like that. Because one of the issues in our country right now is players don't want to play defender.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a midfield forward.
It's just
It's just how it's playing out right now.
defenders don't get a lot of
Glory.
Love. They don't get the love.
Get the love.
Yeah, because the ones that get the whole party and everything that they're the best players, and the whole trophies go to the forwards and the midfielders every time. Every single achievement or something.
Look at Virgil van Dijk when he had his best season, and like Messi didn't even have like one of his best seasons. Messi still beat him in the
Exactly.
Ballon d'Or.
Exactly. They don't. Well, yeah, defenders is it's not like not
Not
a lot of
glorified,
players. Yeah.
and you get the dirty work. He's
Yeah,
doing all the
exactly.
dirty work.
Exactly.
And then on the flip side of the coin, every championship team knows that you win by having a good defense. So it's like, how
That's
How-
across all sports.
do we empower today's youth players to enjoy or understand how to enjoy playing defender more? Because one of the things is players are growing up in football nowadays avoiding this position.
Yeah, because
And-
they want to be a spotlight. They
You
want
want
to
the
be a
ball at your
spotlight.
feet. You want the ball at your feet.
Yeah.
Well, the game is a transitional game, so first you must learn how to take the ball from someone else's foot instead. Because then you can empower yourself by how to get the ball over and over and over again. And you see players, they grow up playing midfielder or forward, they never learn how to get stuck in, put their foot in, recover possession. They maybe learn how to make a tackle that pokes the ball out here and there, little soft stuff. They're not engaging in the physical actions of the game because they're focused on the ball, like I would describe myself in that winger situation. But you can't play football if you're not going to get stuck in.
There was a moment this
Exactly.
You just
weekend.
can't play it.
There was a
That-
moment this
I agree
weekend
with
where
that. I agree.
You can't.
Yeah.
Eric Ten Hag told Anthony,
Play
the
left
winger,
back.
to play left
I
back.
saw his
And
reaction.
you can see him be like,
He
who,
was pissed.
who does this guy think he
Yeah.
is to put me at left back? I'm a forward. In my group chat for my friends, I
That was
told
so
him,
ugly to me.
who
that guy?
do you
Anthony.
think you are? Just because they paid 80 million for you and you scored one goal that whole season, you think that you can't play defense? Who are you,
I
bro?
have no idea.
That pissed me off
It's 'cause
so
they,
much.
They also like they don't teach forwards how to defend.
Right.
That's the problem. They only teach them how to score goals, and I know that's what they need to do.
That's
they
what
need to
wins
score
games
goals.
too, yeah.
But they don't right now. They don't teach them how to defend it. You gotta have a whole team that's gonna help you to attack and to defend,
Mhm.
not just rely on your 4 defenders or the 2 midfielders in front. Like, it's the whole team that needs to know how to defend. Everyone needs to know how to attack. It's something. It's a chemistry.
Yeah, when you
It's a
have the ball,
chemistry.
there are different positions. When you don't have the ball, you're all defenders.
Yeah.
Your boy Johan says the first
Exactly.
attacker is the goalkeeper and the first defender is
Your first striker,
the
of course.
attacker.
But at the same time, Johan wasn't very defensive minded. He was a kind of guy that would play games open house and win them 6-3 instead of 1-0. He was the kind of guy you'd never see put a double block on the field. He was the kind of guy as a player who would take the ball and skirt and dribble and do all those things, but maybe not so then recover and go win the ball back, right? So like, I think he developed this understanding of total football that all players need to know how to attack and defend.
Exactly.
But what we're saying here is we went a bit too far. Now players are only learning to attack or play midfield or to play with the ball,
Yeah.
period. But to play without the ball is to be nowhere to draw your lines and to know how to get stuck in and know how to time a tackle, to know how to push somebody off with
Know
your
your
shoulder.
spaces. Know how to cover those
So many
big spaces.
Aspects.
Yeah, it's a lot of things that I think right now in football need to change, like that.
You got
that-
kids saying, "Oh, I gotta play defender," and I go, "You're a great forward. You're 7 years old. You can do these things.
Yeah.
You're not a forward. You're not a midfielder. You can't get recovery actions going, so you can't get your foot stuck in. Sorry, but." And I want to even remove the sorry from the conversation and say, but
Sorry, not sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. It's time for you to play fullback and learn what it means to go and recover possession of the ball. Even if you're left fullback and you played left winger before, now you can drive and become into your space and position. Fine. But you're there to learn how to do the defensive role. Because if you play midfielder or forward later on in life, you're going to want to know what is expected of that position. It's a total understanding. From a coaching standpoint, I want the player to be well-rounded. So he's not going to get to 10 without playing defender.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah.
He's got to have stepped into every position on the field and known, hey, coach, why am I playing here? Well, I'm playing you there today because you lack this, and I need you to focus on this action so you can improve this ability. Then when that ability has shown improvement, I will put you back in your favorite place. And that practice with younger players is incredibly proficient in building their weaknesses, but it pisses parents off like no one's business. Because self-identity of a 7 or 8-year-old is defined by the parent and what they want them to play.
Yeah, I agree.
The kid himself is developing his self-identity of what he wants to do. It's being also influenced by what their parents want them to do. And the coach's influence should be number 1 in this, and the kid's want should be then number 2, and then the third then should be the parents. So then as you approach this process, you have to make the kid / player understand you're doing this so you could grow at that. And once you have this ability understood and better, then you can go back to do what you do best. You do it with the parent and say, this is the process of what we're trying to get out of this. And then once the player learns how to defend, guess what sometimes happens? They find a new love. And now all of a sudden,
happened to me.
Coach, I want to play fullback.
That happened to me. That happened
You
to
know?
me. I was a striker. I used to be a striker. I was really a good striker. But I went to one team, and that one coach told me that he saw me more as a defender. And one game he put me as a center back, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I remember when I was young and I was a kid, I said I was never going to be a defender. I only wanted to score goals.
There it is.
Everyone.
Every
Everyone.
player wants to
Naturally.
be.
You
wants
see the
to score
highlight
goals.
reels of on YouTube of players, and you see the
Glory
dribblers,
and
the
attention.
goals.
There's the spotlight.
Yeah, attention
Everywhere,
is there.
everybody wants the spotlight. Because if you score goals, well, obviously you're gonna get the spotlight.
Yeah.
But after that one game that I played as a defender, I really never wanted to go back to be a forward. Never. I love. For me, scoring goals is not me getting scored on.
Yes.
That's
It's clean sheets.
exactly
Mhm.
because if there's no goals, you're never gonna lose.
And you did your job.
Boom!
You're never
That's
gonna
one of my
lose.
favorite quotes.
If
You can never lose a
know-
game if you don't.
If you know how to defend, you're
getting out with a point.
never gonna lose.
You're never gonna lose a game if
Never.
you don't concede goals.
So for me, well, maybe I could say because I'm a defender, but the most important player is a defender. Because, like I said, if there's no goals, you can't lose the game. You can't. But also, if there's no goals, if you don't score goals, you're not going to win the game. But I prefer to tie instead to lose. I obviously prefer a tie than a lose.
The theoretical
Maybe it's
question.
something that the Cholos need.
Yeah.
Whoa!
yeah. Obviously, yeah.
The
I
theoretic
agree.
question in
Yeah.
my mind. The theoretic question in my mind is how do we get more kids ambitious about playing defender, and/or how do coaches build the attention and glory onto the position so that players feel more worth for playing the role? Because across the board, it doesn't exist. And it's a theoretical question because answers are only in experiment. Meaning, we could come up with ideas here sitting around round table, but then we could go out to the field and experiment those ideas, and they could not benefit in giving the player more will and want to play defender. But having the question, how do we build the attention and glory and understanding of the importance of the position to the youth growing up in this country, so that we do in 5-10 years have players that feel about
Van Dijk,
center back,
Maldini.
fullback, the way we have people feeling about 11 and 7 and
What
9
would you say?
and 10. It's like you don't have nobody walk up to a team and say, I want to be 2. And people should. People should have this want and will. We're not emphasizing it enough.
Yeah.
So how could we is the question, you know?
That's a good question. That's a really good question because, yeah, I see there's a lot of players that, like you said, don't want to play as a defender. But damn, it's a hard question.
Of course,
It's a
yeah,
hard
and that's
question.
like,
It's a tough one.
It even got me thinking.
we could leave it as
You think got me
rhetorical and
thinking.
theoretical, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that experiments lead to understanding of what it does for the behaviors of the players, and that we know from an experimental basis we want to instill more want and will to play
I
this
think
position.
players should actually play every position, but at a like. Well, when I was young, I tried to play every position I could. I played as a defender. I played as a forward. I played as a winger. I played as a midfielder.
I
I
did the
even
same
played as a
thing, actually.
goalkeeper.
I did the same.
And I found out that the most I loved was
Yeah.
being a defender.
Like,
I think that's what there's a lot of players right now that they get to a club and they're like, I'm a forward. I'm a forward. I'm a midfielder. And when they put them in another spot, in another position, they don't even care. Like they don't give it the importance of it. So, like they close their mind.
That's
They
exactly right.
close
Yeah.
themselves and
To
they
the
don't learn from it.
possibilities, yeah.
Exactly, but maybe that's a position that they could love if they open up their mind to learn that position. So
100%.
I think a lot of players should like at least try each position and see which one fits them and which one they love the most.
And like you said, opening their mind to it. No,
To new things.
don't just because you're gonna be in that position, don't automatically shut it down.
Yeah.
Of I don't like it.
Yeah.
You have to have an open mind to then actually know if you like it or not.
Exactly. That's what helped me get to be a defender. Like I said, I was a forward, a really good forward. I used to score a lot of goals, but after I played that game as a center back, I really never wanted to go back to being a forward.
And I'm looking at this list of questions that we have, and I'm like, dude, we need to have like a part 2 with you probably.
Yeah.
Because we're
Yeah.
going in
Yeah.
so detailed,
Yeah,
and
it's super
I'm
deep.
loving
Yeah, super
this
deep.
conversation that we're having. I think if we're gonna have a couple more questions, I'd say the first one that I'm gonna ask before we end off on a really impactful one.
Okay.
How do your relationships that you have outside of football affect your footballing career? And we don't have to go into detail of the relationships that you had,
Mm-hmm.
but I would like to know if they had if one relationship had a positive one, relationship had a negative one. What how did you identify that, and then how did you make the change or keep that relationship strong?
I think your relationship outside of football, it's a big one because if like I'm gonna let's say you have a girlfriend.
Theoretically, right?
Theoretically,
Yeah.
if you have a girlfriend, but your relationship with your girlfriend is not that good, or you don't have a good relationship, it doesn't have to be a girlfriend, but if you don't have a good relationship outside of football with your parents, with your friends, I think that messes up a lot with your head and with your brain, because you start thinking about while you're playing. You start thinking, what happens if my girlfriend is mad? What happens if my mom is mad? So
It's a
in
distraction.
a game, it's a big distraction. It's a big distraction. So yeah, I think that.
You know, I would say like when your relationships outside of football are in good standing, they feed you, they empower you, they give you energy.
You need to have
when they're
a healthy relationship, not just with your, like if you have a girlfriend, but in general, like with your mom, with your family, with your friends. If something is not going well, it will affect you a lot.
It's gonna tax you.
Exactly.
It's gonna take from your energy. It's gonna take
Exactly.
from your focus. It's gonna take from your emotional standpoint. But in the same flip of the coin, when they are in good standing and healthy, and let's say the relationship with the girl is good, the relationship with mom is healthy. It's once a week you dial and you're up to date with
Everything
things.
is gonna be fine.
It's gonna feed you. You know, it's not gonna be taxing. It's gonna be empowering. But let's just talk about how complicated it can be to maintain all of your outside relationships while you're so focused fully on creating this thing in a different place. Your time, your energy, your emotional output, everything goes into becoming this here, and you're not surrounded by those there. But it's really hard to make sure that they felt or feel your presence and that your care and your love, so that they reciprocate that instead of tax from you.
And I have learned from
hard.
many things. I used to be in a relationship, but that relationship wasn't the best, and it affected me as a player. because I was always mad. I was always mad. I got to training mad. I played soccer games mad. I didn't even want to travel sometimes because I was thinking if right now I'm mad with my girlfriend, it messes a lot with your head.
Mhm.
Like,
You could lash out elsewhere. You
what
didn't
what
need
happens
to.
if I break up with her? You start thinking on other things instead of focusing on right now, on what's important for you, on your game.
What's in front of you?
Exactly. And
That's how you got to Spain in the first place, by focusing on.
exactly. I left that behind. I left it behind and focused on what I was gonna do. Because what matters is what you're gonna do, not what the other person says.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. Because it's your life, and everybody has their life. And if you've chosen what you want to pursue with your life, you shouldn't have to necessarily rationalize it to anybody.
It's a-
And I
it's
can
a-
compare it right now.
Yeah, I was
to-
gonna say,
to
how
the
did
relationship.
how did you take what you learned from the last one into your new relationship?
I don't give it importance. I don't.
They're separate.
If something is going bad in my relationship right now, I don't let that affect me anymore in my game.
In English, we say compartmentalizing. Mentalizing.
Compartmentalize.
So,
It helps. She has helped me a lot as a player. A lot, and not just as a player, but as a person. So she gives me this confidence and this extra energy to keep on moving forward. Because how can I say it? I could say it better in Spanish, but I'm
You
gonna
got
try to
it.
say in
And
English. In my other relationship, she just brought me down. Everything was fighting.
it was
fighting.
you were drained instead of
Exactly.
instead
And
of
I
you were
couldn't
being
think,
filled.
I couldn't think in football. I couldn't think of football. I just thought in the fighting because it was too excessive that it got to a point that it was all over my head. So football for me was not in my head anymore. It was just my girlfriend is mad. My girlfriend is mad. My girlfriend is mad. And right now, I don't even have not even one problem with my girlfriend. Not even one. And I don't even see one problem in soccer. Like, I don't see her messing with me, and so
Did you have to set any new boundaries from your past relationship to the new one? Were there any like rules you could say that you set that like, hey, look, XYZ?
no,
No.
honestly no. She set those rules.
Yourself.
I think
Oh, that's
I
amazing.
think we've nailed that one.
Dude, it has a big importance in your life having someone by your side, and more like at a really young age, it does affect with you. Like you can't see. No has madurado.
You're not mature
You're
yet.
not mature enough to see that. Well, maybe like relationships at that young age normally end.
Yeah.
You know, you're worrying about something that it's a bigger chance that it's gonna end than it's gonna last. You know, so I honestly regret giving too much attention to that girlfriend instead of giving attention to something that's gonna help me more in life.
And I'd say as a man especially, you need to have the positive energy coming to you instead of being taken away, because
Exactly.
there as men there is so many things in this world that take away our energy.
Mhm.
And when you have a relationship that is, I guess, replenishing your energy, that means that you have more power to give to other things instead of having someone that is taking away your energy, because there is so many things that as men take our energy.
Exactly. Right now, like I said, with my girlfriend, she gives me a lot of support and a lot of confidence and energy to help me transcend more as a soccer player, because she believes in me and she knows that I'm capable of achieving what I have achieved and more, and she's up to it to help me achieve that goal.
And women are powerful, man.
Exactly.
Like
They are.
women
They
have
are.
their
They are.
their strengths, and that is probably one of their best strengths. Like,
But to have someone by your side that believes in you and gives you her energy and her positivity, it will give you a lot of hope and a lot of
It'll feed you and energize you. It'll also help you reciprocate that positive energy you're receiving back to her.
exactly.
And things become where, how do you say, the energy becomes more wholesome or like complete, where it has a waste that cycles, right? When you're in the opposite, what happens is it's going in one way and then it's coming out in a different direction and the cycle doesn't complete, right? And this is you and your brain getting distracted and losing focus and losing sight on
You start
football.
focusing on something
And it
else
should
instead
be like this.
your main thing.
She should feed you. You should feed her, and the two of you should continue to push.
Yeah, it's
that
the same.
agenda,
It's the same. Yeah.
Like, and then the other one is you're going in different directions. You're pulling on each other. It's just, we go this way, we go this way. It's tough, man. It's like a weight when you're trying to head down a direction you're trying to make your life about. And like you mentioned, is brilliant. At a young age, what's more important is probably what are you going to do with your life,
Exactly.
more so than what are we going to do with ours.
And I know that's a big problem with a lot of young people right now that want to be professional or want to get to a certain point in their life where they're pros, but those things are not
They're
helping
hindering-
them.
they're hindering
they're-
you.
Yeah, it's not helping them achieve those goals
You can make
because
or
they
break it.
focus on something else instead of on that one main goal that they had. So, yeah, I would say you need to have a good relationship. You need to have a good relationship with anyone around you. You gotta keep it simple and alive and rich.
Yeah.
You know?
Rich is a beautiful word for it.
I think this is a good question to end on. It was one of the questions that Zach brought up, and like you were talking about your friends that were very talented at soccer, and then they you could say they either burned out or they didn't have the self belief or self motivation in themselves to keep trying to keep going. Do you, with all the hardships that go on and everything behind the scenes in football, do you enjoy football?
I do. I have enjoyed it since I was 2 years old, and I don't think I ever will stop enjoying this sport. I don't even see myself not playing football for one day. It's something that would be not normal for me, like waking up and saying I don't play football anymore. I don't see myself like that. I don't see myself not integrated in something in this sport, you know. But I think my love for this game and the ambition to get to that next level and be a professional is something that will never go away. It will never go away. I will never stop trying. I will never stop giving my all because I know I have all the potential to get where I want to get, and I have all the resources and I have all the help from family, friends that help me stay focused and keep learning and keep growing as a player and as a person.
Love
So,
that.
Yeah, well, we believe you're going to be able to achieve your dreams.
And then
we'll
one,
be there to help
and once you
wherever
do
go.
that, we're gonna have another episode.
Another
Yes,
episode.
Yes, sir.
Now
And then-
professional.
and then
Now
down the road-
professional,
now
Saeed.
professional.
That'd be awesome.
And then down the road, whenever that career ends, hopefully 10, 15 years from now,
Yeah.
you call us when those boots hit the wall and we'll put you right into the field again.
Yeah.
Because you love it that
I
much.
love it. I love it.
You will be around it
something
your whole life.
I will not get tired of. It's
I get what
it's,
you,
it's
I
the
get what you're
best
saying.
sport in the game. It's filled with so many things, so many positive things. I'm in love with the game.
For me, I'm in love with the game for one simple reason: is the human relationships we build through it, and all of the growth that we get to have as humans through it. Whether you're a kid, a coach, a program leader, doesn't matter. Everyone that's a part of the process is in a positive growth curve
The
and
beautiful
trying to
game.
help each other out.
It's a
The
beautiful,
beautiful
the
game.
world's
Builds
game, baby.
connections like this,
Beautiful game, yeah.
and it always feeds each other.
Mhm.
So
Always, it would always feed. It will always feed positivity, and it's a sport that connects everyone, the whole world. It's
You see
something-
people with one leg playing. You see people
Exactly,
with
no
disabilities
hands,
playing.
everything.
It's
everything.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It's an inclusive game as well, and it's not a game that is at least in the world, maybe in the United States a little bit, there's no barrier to entry. You just need a ball. You need four things to set up the goals.
Some rocks.
Yeah, some rocks, whatever,
And that's it.
and
That's
play.
it.
Yeah,
Enjoy and enjoy.
I love that. Where can people find you if they want to encourage you more or they want to get to know you a little bit more? Where can people find you on the social media?
You can find me on Instagram at Said SAHID C Rueda RUEDA. So Said C Rueda on Instagram.
I love that. And how about you, Zach?
You can find me at ZJ Kaizen on Instagram or at Train Zone Sports. Either way, what about you?
Coach JCKM or at JCCrewerM.
Yeah.
You already know where to find us.
And this has been Pitchside Prospects, the Jordan episode number 23.
With the next Jordan, baby. I love that.
And that is a good